Just this. God. Can I get the light better? No, I don't think that makes it better. All right.
I'm gonna turn these off. Okay. So I'm doing this on my phone and you guys can hear me. And I'm sorry if it looks like a little overexposed, but that's what it looks like. So yeah, can you guys let me know that you can hear me? How do I do this? Okay, I'm just gonna assume that you can hear me. So hi. And should I wait a little bit? There's 4 people on right now. I'm very excited. I really am. And I hope that I can see messages coming in because that's what I want. Hi, Dylan. Okay, great. I can see messages. Okay, wonderful. All right. So I'm just gonna start, and please, feel free to to chat. Yes, you can hear me loud and clear. Amazing. I like to be heard. All right. So I wanted to talk about anxiety today because I don't know. That's like what I woke up with in my head. That was on my mind, and it's obviously something that a lot of people deal with and a lot of people are dealing with, and it's probably something that I have said that I deal with. Hi, Stella. Happy to have you here. So yeah, it's obviously I used to be someone who got really really nervous. Like hell, I even got nervous going. Yeah, you did. Stressed. See, I love it. Um I even got a little bit nervous going live like just 30 seconds ago, and also as an actor, I go to auditions and literally I've been like the one shaking with the papers in my hand quite often. And it kept being like, you know, at a certain point, I'm supposed to get over this, aren't I? Like at a certain point, I'm supposed to not be anxious anymore. And I just thought that through repetition, through the doing of something, that it would just go away. And in a way, I guess this was kind of like bulldozing my anxiety, which can work for to a certain extent. Like, I think this is the best word I can use to describe it, is just like doing it anyway. Yo, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Not gonna lie. Okay. Yeah, so I would like bulldoze my anxiety and I would just do things anyway. And I would be like, whatever, I don't care. And then I would end up in these places or in these situations where I was kind of like sitting on top of my anxiety. Hi. And and it was a horrible experience because I was like surfing a wave that I did not have control over at all. And it worked to a certain extent, and it can work to a certain extent, but I kind of want to get that it's best to go deeper, to like actually face that anxiety head on and to address it in the moment, and not try to just pretend like it's not there. Okay, and this might sound a little contradictory, but it's like you don't want to identify with it first of all. So I think like anxious, anxiety, like those kind of words have been kind of popularized, and now I just meet more and more people who identify themselves as being anxious. And I don't think that serves you in any way. And I think you only want to identify as things that serve you. Like, it's just, it's just, why do you want to put that on yourself? Like, if this is a label, if this is a name, why do you want to say, hey, nice to meet you, I'm an anxious person? Why do you want to have that going on in your head? And the reason is, you don't want to have that going on because then that is like the basis, the premise for everything that you do. So for instance, that means that I have to overcome it if I'm going into an audition. It's like, cool, I'm an anxious person, and now I have to do breathing exercises or something in the hallway in order to overcome my naturally anxious state. Whereas if I just like decide I'm not an anxious person, then there is a different basis, there's a different premise for going into that audition room or going into any, there's like a different basis, there's a different context, there's a different story for the whole thing that's about to unfold for me, you know? This could also kind of go into the idea of intentions, of setting intentions for different little events in your life, or different just moments in your life, different like chunks, pieces of your life. It's kind of the same idea. It's like, what's the premise of this thing? And if part of the premise is, I'm an anxious person and I have to do this anyway, that's gonna be really difficult. It's gonna be like really, it's gonna make you anxious because not only do you think you have anxiety, but you also have to overcome, you have to hide that anxiety, you have to keep that anxiety under wraps. There's like a lot that you have to do in that very short amount of time, and it's not good for you. So first of all, I just want to say, like, address that story, like hopefully before a high stress situation, and rewrite that. Say like, I'm not an anxious person, I'm not. And actually, you know, I would argue that more times in your life you are not anxious. You are not anxious probably when you're taking a shower, or you're not anxious when you're just like reading a book. And you're not anxious a lot of the time in your life. It's just those moments where you are anxious, they stand out to you because they have higher emotion. And so you go, oh, I'm anxious. And then the more that you keep up that story, the more you find yourself acting like an anxious person. Hi. So change that story, you know, make it be like, I'm not an anxious person. I'm actually like super chill. I'm super chill. I'm like, I have really good mental health. I'm really good in, I actually somehow have a really good belief that I'm really good in a high pressure situation. I don't know how that came about, or like how I managed to get that, but oh man, I should do that again. Yeah, so I actually like naturally have a really good belief that I'm really good in a high pressure situation, and I am. Like, I've been in a few, I've been in a lot of car accidents actually, and I'm always like I don't know, something just clicks and I'm good to go. I think it's also that maybe it's because like I used to see myself kind of as like the fixer in any in like familial situations. So it was like chaos would be going on around me, and I would be like, okay, I am going to be the calm in the storm, and I'm going to navigate this. So I could do that quite easily for others, but it's like I could never seem to do that for myself. And so, you know, let's just say I go into a situation, I want to like keep this, I'm so sorry, I keep being like distracted by what everyone is writing, and I am gonna like get to all the comments, but I just want to talk about this a little bit. So let's say like I go into, another way of thinking of this, by the way, is like where you're coming from. I think I've talked about that in the past, but it's like, instead of, you know, often when we write like goals or like to-do lists, we think of ourselves as here, and then like we think of the goal as being like, oh, over there. And so we're placing ourselves with like less than, not having attained it. And then we think, okay, how do I, whatever, like that person who doesn't have it, how do they get over there? And instead you kind of want to like reverse engineer it. It's like, I'm already the chill person. So as a chill person, for instance, if I were to go to an audition, I would behave and I would prepare in a completely different way. I'd be like, okay, so I know I'm going to be really relaxed in the room because I'm always really relaxed in the room. I'm just relaxed always. So I know that. So I don't have to worry about that. Great. That's like one thing off my plate. So then I'm going to like prepare in a different way because it's going to be like, okay, well, probably, you know, people tend to, the other thing about auditions, just like if you guys are interested in this, is like it's stressful for the auditioner. You know, they're like really trying to find the person and they're receiving a lot of needy energy in that room. So for someone to come in who can just like own themselves, who's like totally chill, who's totally comfortable in their own skin, that is such a nice thing for the people auditioning themselves. Like they get anxious, you know, it's like anyone. You get anxious when someone else is anxious. So anyway, I know, okay, I'm a chill person, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to make them feel good because they don't need to take care of me. They don't need to reassure me. I just know myself, cool. So then I'm going to also like prepare lines in a certain way because like now I know who I am in that situation. And it's going to have me like preparing, planning, thinking in a completely different way. I'm going to be open to other things that I wouldn't be if I was going in, okay, I'm an anxious person trying to pretend like I'm not. You know what I'm saying? That's why like the act as if is right and it isn't, because it's like it's kind of baked into that premise that you're not the thing you're acting as if. And the truth is you're always new every second, and so you can do and be whatever you want at any given moment. No, it's not anxiety. Like even that, it's like, so sorry, I'm just like gonna address that where he's like instant anxiety. It's like cool, we have like an idea of what an audition is and like all of those things that it entails and like the eyes on us and the pressure on us. When really it's like if you break it down, you're just going into a room and you're saying lines for a camera. It's not that different than what I'm doing right now, and there it's just a moment in time with like some strangers or hopefully people that I've met before, and I go in and I do my thing and like I can have a lovely time and I can like have the story that like auditions are always great for me. I always have a good time in auditions. Like I'm always well received. I always feel good about my work. It's just really easy. Like you can decide what an audition means for you. You can decide what anything means for you because you already have decided what it means for you. So you're like just people have like way more freedom about like what everything means for you. Don't just take something for granted that like things are the way they are. You're like completely, you get to select and you get to choose what everything in your world is. What everything. Like be as creative as you possibly can. Yeah, you are. Like the thing about victim mentality too is like you're so powerful that you can choose to be a victim. You're so powerful that like you can create yourself being a victim. Wait, I want to read this. Oh, oral presentations. Yeah, shaking and stuttering. I mean, the other thing too with like oral presentations is yeah, it's this like, you know, it's not that different from talking. Most people can talk, okay, to like one person, let's say. Um, and so speaking to a group of people, actually the act that you're doing is not different than speaking to one person. Like you might alter your behavior a little bit, you might speak a bit louder, you might open up your body a bit more, you might be like a little bit more presentational, you might be a little bit more formal, but it's not, like the act is very very similar. It's like what we do up here to that causes the shaking and stuttering. You know how to talk, but it's this idea that it's difficult or that it's scary. It's not scary. It's just like you know how to do this. You know how to talk. You know how to give the presentation. But it's all about like the story that you give to the situation. Um, my ex used to have a stutter, and it would be like sometimes. I think he had a stutter when he was a kid, and then it would just like show up sometimes. And it's so interesting like when it shows up because it was typically when the attention is all on me, I can't handle that. Well, see, for him, it was like I could tell it was kind of whenever he felt overwhelmed or when, yes, when he felt like all eyes were on him, and he would kind of just trip over himself. It was really interesting. And it was like, he had to give himself space. He had to kind of like, he had to feel safe. He had to feel safe. But it was almost like, and I think this is what it is, like this kind of wiring got triggered in him, and it would show up. And of course it made it worse, because you're like, that's how it is. It's like when you're anxious, then you start acting anxious, and then you're anxious about your anxiety. Uh, so so yeah, but I think that's also why, like, with stuttering, I'm just gonna stay on this for a second because I think it's really interesting. Like, um you know how singing is like a really good therapy for stuttering, and it's because like it's changing the story in a really big way. It's like you're still communicating, you're still using your voice, but you're now you're not giving a presentation. It's doing something different in your brain, and so your brain is like, oh, this isn't quite the program, so it gives you different results. Yeah, yeah. I read like a book Scott Adams, the like creator of Dilbert, wrote. I read that recently because someone recommended it. You can help it. You can help it. Absolutely. You can. Yep. Yep. You just change the story about who you are as a communicator. So I forget what this is called, but he actually like lost his speaking voice, Scott Adams. And it was like he could talk by himself. He could talk to his cat or whatever, but he literally couldn't speak to other people. Like some like garbled like would come out if he was even like ordering something at a restaurant. Thank you. I like it too. And he also at this point had like a career as a motivational speaker. Okay, and I think this is really interesting. So he went through like years of not really being able to communicate. And obviously, it was really depressing and awful for him. And then he put off doing motivational speaking gigs, I think, until finally someone asked him to do it. And he was like, okay, let's go try this. Because he like doesn't care about being embarrassed, and he just needed to find out for himself. And so he literally like didn't know if he was going to be able to speak for this hour that he's been booked. And he gets up there, he gets to the stage, and he was able to do it. And I think it's that for his brain, it was like a different enough situation that his brain was like, oh, we know how to do this. So it wasn't perfect, but he was able to communicate. Like, he couldn't order a Coca-Cola in a restaurant, but he was able to give an hour-long speech. And it's because for him, in his brain, it was different enough. It was different enough, and he felt like he knew how to do this. He had done this enough before that he could speak in that situation. So if you change the context, if you change the story, if you change the situation for yourself, suddenly new things are open for you. Another thing that I felt I might talk about that I thought was really interesting, and I got this from, has anyone read Psycho Cybernetics? I actually loved this book. I forget who recommended me that, but brainwork sometime. There's a lot of anecdotes in that book. It's very, very sweet. I recommend that book to anyone. Like, go read that. Or just like what I did was I listened to it on YouTube. So many books, by the way, you can just find on YouTube. And this is a really dated book, so most dated books are very for Scott. I know. Actually, there's like more to that Scott story, and maybe I'll get back to it. But one of the things that one anecdote that I really liked in the Psycho Cybernetics book was about this guy who realized that when he went down for dinner to eat like dinner with his mom and dad, he called them like ma and pa. When he went down to eat dinner with ma and pa, he was totally normal. You know, he like felt really comfortable and blah blah blah. And I think he was a salesperson, and he had to have lots of like very fancy meetings at fancy restaurants, and he felt totally out of his element in those places. And he said, well, you know, there's a part of me that knows, like, I know how to have dinner with ma and pa. So I'm just going to pretend like I'm going down to dinner with ma and pa. I'm going for dinner with mom and pop. And he would tell himself that, like, for every fancy dinner, no matter, like, he's like eating at the Ritz-Carlton or something, and he just tells himself, that's what I'm doing. Um, oh, Psychos, yeah, it's long. It's long. It's enjoyable, though. I will say you can probably skip the first 2 hours of Psycho-Cybernetics. Yeah. So anyway, he did that, and he found that he was totally fine under that premise. And like, I've totally stolen that, by the way. And like, whenever I find myself getting a little bit, I just like, I change like the what it is. I'm like, yeah, it's like I'm just talking to my mom, or yeah, it's like I'm just talking to my dad. How would I talk to them? You know how to talk to those people, so just like put that onto the situation. You have that available to you at all times. Do that for dates, by the way. Like, pretend like you're going to hang out with your best friend, honestly, who just like gets you and knows you, gets all your jokes, thinks you're adorable, like whatever. Have that for dates, or have that for like interviews, or have that like already, again, coming from, right? Like that there's already a kind of like comfort and familiarity. Again, I used to do this with jobs where it's like, I will audition differently if I already have the job, you know? It's like, can I show up to the audition like it's not an audition, it's the first day of set, and they've already cast me, they already love me, I'm the one they want. Can I jump that? Because that's actually what people are looking for, you know, when it comes to an audition. Especially, it's like they're looking for the performance, they're looking for, this is it, we have it. Seriously, do that. That's also what the girl wants too, by the way, or guy, I guess. I'm just assuming. They like every great date. I think the common thing about it is that you're like, wow, like we just clicked. We just got each other. It just felt comfortable. Like, I think the sign of a good date is just comfort. I know that sounds weird, but I think people want that. They want like comfort with like a little hint of danger. That's all women want. Women just want someone who takes the lead and someone who makes them feel comfortable and safe and protected. Oh my God. Oh, if men would just do that, like, you've done it. You've won them. If they could, because you want to think about like, after the date, they go back, and what do they're like playing this date back in their head, and what are they thinking? Hopefully they're thinking, oh my God, I felt like I knew that person forever. I felt like that, I don't know, it was like we were friends in another life, you know? And so it's like, so treat them like that. So jump ahead to that and treat the first date like the 70th date, you know? Not to be like sloppy or whatever, but just go into it like you guys are already comfortable with each other, like you guys already like each other, like it's just good between you guys. It's like looking for the balance in the other person. I don't know. Maybe you can say more about that. So yeah, that's all I can think about right now in terms of anxiety. But like, really the biggest thing that I would just recommend is like, change, like, please just stop saying that you're an anxious person. Please stop saying that. Don't say that. Don't say anything about yourself that you wouldn't say to your best friend. Don't say that to yourself. You know, you can have anxious moments, fine, but don't pin yourself in a corner unless it's helpful for you, you know? Yeah. And the other thing too that I would just say about this, and this is, I can only talk personally, so like, I recognized recently that like I used to have a kind of story going. I mean, at some point I had this like memory that came back to me, and I realized that at some point I had been like, I think like 10 years old or something, and I had been really upset and like journaling in my room or something, and just feeling like really sad and pouring all my thoughts and like my heart out into my journal. And like at some point, I think I wrote down like, oh, I'm glad I think like this. Like, because this is me. This is me, and I'm unique and I'm special, and maybe my story or who I am is really sad, but at least I'm me, and I would rather be me than anything in the world. This is like what I decided in that moment, and it was a decision. And so what what I didn't see was that I was kind of romancing this persona for a really, really long time. And it's easy to do that because there's lots of music, there's lots of movies, there's like lots of influences that are like, yeah, I'm sad and depressed, but it makes me special. Even in a negative way, but it's like, it's just something to hold on to. And the truth is, it's not you. Like, unless you decide it is. And you can have that if you enjoy it. But just be careful about what you romanticize, is what I would say. Because since I've recognized that, I will say it's like kind of bittersweet, but you're like, right, I just jumped onto like a vehicle that I thought would serve me in that moment. I said, okay, I'm like a sad girl right now, but I'm going to embrace that fully and I'm going to like commit to that character. And that's pretty much all we're doing ever, is we're just like deciding what character to be in any given moment. So be careful though about which character you're casting yourself as, and know that you can change that at any moment. Like, don't get so into the character that you forget it's a character and it's just a choice you made at one given point of time, and you can change that whenever you want. You know, if I'm totally honest, it was probably like kind of fun for me to be that person. It was fun in high school to be that person. Because I feel as though they're being blamed. Yeah. So I want to read some comments. We are meant to. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. I think too, like, I might be wrong, but I don't see one as being better than the other. So like light and dark, I don't know if I so much subscribe to like a light and dark, except for that which we cast as being in the light and that which we cast as being in the dark. If that makes sense. So I don't think one is better than the other. It's just like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? So like, play that sad girl for a while, play that sad guy for a while. He's very dreamy in his own way. He is. He is. Bright Eyes proves that. Like, I love, it's adorable. It's like, it's really lovable, right? But it comes with its own things. And I think eventually you get kind of tired of it. You get kind of tired of it. Yeah. But like, I don't know. That's what I would say. So now I don't know who I like identify myself as, except because I wouldn't say that I identify myself as like a really happy person, but I like very deliberately chose not to be a victim. Yeah. I forget if I've ever talked about this on my channel, but I went to my sister's baby shower. That's cool. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. I like that comment about the grapes. So yeah, because this is kind of it. This was like a while back. I went to my sister's baby shower, and I was feeling kind of down about myself for various reasons, and I just like was off. And part of it too was like, I wanted to throw this baby shower, and then like her new family, her like husband's family, threw it for her, and so like it was just a party with all of these women I didn't know, and I felt like an accessory there, and I felt like I didn't belong. Whatever, I came home and I was feeling really, really low about myself. And I remember my mom came upstairs and she was checking on me, and I like decided that day, I was like, I am done feeling sorry for myself. I am done. I am not doing that anymore. And after that, I spent a few months, whenever I caught myself feeling sorry for myself, I would like send myself to my room pretty much. I would be like, we're not doing this. And I would go meditate. I would like go change my thoughts. I would be like, no, we're not doing this. We're not playing this part anymore. We're not being the victim. So like feeling sorry for myself, I guess just being like, oh, everyone else, I guess the thoughts, if I could identify them, were like, everyone else is living really great lives and I'm not, or something like that. Like, oh, I'm not important. Oh, I'm not special, or I don't know, I'm a failure, or whatever that. It's like, again, you don't just want to overcome them. You don't just want to be like, okay, we know that's playing on in the background, but we're just gonna pretend that's not there. No, like, you cut that out. You kill that in the moment. You say, no, this isn't true. This isn't true. We're rewriting the story. And that changed a lot of things for me. So, yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's like those decisions in life. Yeah. You always have like, you can always feel good. You know, that's always available to you. And being aware is everything. Because if you're not aware enough to like catch your thoughts, if you're not aware to catch your feelings or like what you perceive is going on, then you are a victim, right? But you're like a victim to yourself. It's like, it's just you. It's all you, you know? Everything that's going on is just going on up here. Yeah. Then just do that. Just decide I see everything in a positive light. Just decide I'm always positive. And like every time you catch yourself kind of thinking of things in a negative way, go like, wait, that's not what I do. That's like really out of character for me. Like, who's the person that would like see it this positive? And yeah, meditation is amazing. And there's lots of kinds. And the thing too about meditation that I just like really want to stress for people is do meditation. Yeah. But there's so many kinds. And I just want to say, like, you do what works for you. Don't ever just subscribe to like some teaching or some teacher, or like, this is for you. It's meant to feel good for you. So the thing too with meditation is like, I spent years, I want to say. First of all, I started meditating when it like wasn't popular to meditate, so I felt like a weirdo for doing it. And it was kind of like my dirty little secret, when it's a great thing to do. And I think I've kind of like always been a bit ahead of the pack, and then like everyone catches up and I'm like, what the hell, what, like, why was I so like embarrassed for it? Now everyone's into it, and I wish I could have just like been open about it in the first place. But yeah, the thing about meditation is, don't worry about not thinking. Please don't get caught in that trap. Don't think that like you're supposed to ascend, or like light, there's supposed to be a light show, or like you're supposed to have these incredible things. I don't know, that there's supposed to be no thought, like no self. Let go of those, because all of those are ideas. Okay? And like a no self doesn't have an idea of no self, you know? So just, I would treat meditation more as an experiment. Like, just find out who you are. Find out what's going on up there. Find out what's going on. Well, I want to read this. A lot of people smoke. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm still figuring out the live chat, so I can't read all of it. Oh, wait. Isn't smoking just breathing? Yeah. Breathwork is like... So this is what I want to say about breathwork, too, by the way. I think, again, it's like where you're coming from. So I actually think that if you're doing breath work with the thought going on in your head, I'm very anxious, so I need to do breath work, I think it's defeating the purpose. personally. I think it's hard to be stressed with a cigarette in your mouth. Because you're like, life is good. Like, I don't know, it's just like so imprinted that like when you're smoking, you're chilling, you're easy. That's what I think. Vaping, I've never really vaped. But I kind of think like you're kind of taking on like a cool stance, and it's hard to be anxious if you're like super chill. You know what I mean? Like one has to win over. Yeah, the other thing too about like props. I know this sounds funny, but I want to talk about props. Since like we're talking about anxiety. Oh, yeah. I want to talk about this too. It's amazing like how much I can relate to acting. I love that so much. So like something that an actor experiences uh for what it's worth is like if you have nothing to do in a scene, it feels awful. You're just like standing there. An actor that I worked with used to use this expression a lot. He's like, we're just standing there with egg on our face. Maybe I'll get to that question. So yeah, this actor would be like, what are we doing? Like, we're just standing here. Or if like someone didn't pick up their line, they were like, you can't do that. Like, we just look stupid just standing here. Okay. And I think often people feel anxious when they're just standing there because like that's not how we are. Usually there's something going on. There's like some kind of thing that we're leaning against, that we're doing, that we're engaged in. And I think that's partly why like use props, guys. So in the same way that actors use props, give themselves actions. So like you'll see this in movies all the time. Like a scene often works because say like they're making dinner, and the second that like an actor is making dinner while something else is going on, the scene is so much more believable, the scene is so much more natural, the scene is like so much more interesting and engaging because it's like life. Like the people are engaged and they're doing something. If you had the same scene with like an argument going on and literally all the characters are doing is they're just like standing there with their arms on their shoulder, on their hips, and they're just having a fight, it's like infinitely less interesting and feels wrong. It just feels awkward. So in the same way, I would just say like give yourself action. This is kind of like intention, but like give yourself props. Give yourself a cigarette, a cup, like be drinking a coffee, be doing something. Even if it's like in the conversation, you know, if you're being a hostess, if you're being like a good listener, like give yourself a script, give yourself a premise, give yourself, you know, the action of the thing. I really that helps to make some. No, but really like, so for instance, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but often when I do my videos, like I'll have a cup of coffee in my video. And this is something, by the way, too, that like I used to do in self-tapes with my, I used to do in self-tapes with my ex when we were making self-tapes. And I would always be like playing with some object and he's like, what are you doing? It's so distracting, stop it. And the thing is, it was comforting for me to have something to hold, you know. It's just something that like grounds me, that places me. So I honestly think like that's actually why people like cigarettes. It gives you something to do, gives you some little action, some little, so like a cup or a watch or an earring to play with. Like it's just something that I don't know why, but it just works. It just has you be more natural as opposed to just like there, I don't know, you just feel so like naked and it's weird. Again, like think about how you are with your best friend. With your best friend, you're usually not like like just at attention or something. So to answer someone's question before about weed, no, not really. Not really. For me, like weed is kind of this sounds funny, but I like to use it more like to kind of open my mind. Like I get really excited about the thoughts that I have when I'm smoking weed, and I like to write them down, but I haven't done it in like a year or something. But that's so yeah. I don't know. Yeah, thank you, Lakumu. Thank you. I mean, I'll talk about acting, but yeah, maybe not Far Cry. Yeah. But is there anything else you guys are wondering? Like, thank you so much for being here, by the way. I really, really appreciate you. It's just so fun to hang out with you guys. Yeah, I've been talking for 40 minutes, so I could probably end this. Yeah, so like COVID has made things a bit complicated and schedules have changed, but so I can't yet. I love that you guys like her so much. Are you going to post this? Yeah, I'm absolutely going to post this. So this will go up forever. Yeah. At some point I'm going to talk about faith. Like the topic of faith. Something about faith, I forget if I told you guys this, but they changed my body. And I don't know what I feel about that. Like, like they made me like bigger, you know? I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can't really talk about future projects. Okay, great. So I'm gonna end this here. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and I love you so much. And oh wait, I'll just address that. Like, so, you know, they're like mapping my face or whatever, and my body, and I'm in like a, what's it called? Like almost a wetsuit, whatever. I'm just saying that they made, when I look at what they made, I think they enhanced my chest. That's all. So it's interesting that they chose to do that. That's all. I like my flat chest. Okay. All right. I love you guys so much. And like, I really hope you're doing well. And I'm going to do more of these. If you guys like that I do these on Saturday, yes, I would love to talk about that. I really want to talk about like manifestation and misconceptions because I'm really, really into it. And again, it's like so interesting that it's like super trendy because I got into it feeling like, oh my God, I'm getting into this. And now it just feels like everyone uses the word manifestation for everything. So yeah, maybe that's what I'll do the next live stream about. But yeah, let me know if Saturdays are good for you guys, because I would like to have like a weekly live stream or something like that. Okay. I love you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.